Hi! Welcome back to another video. So I don't know how to do intros. Nobody does. So if you're new to my channel, let me just turn this around because I don't want to see myself. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Kizzy, and yeah, I just thought, well, it's June 15th, I think, 2020. So you know what that means. The world has basically gone to shit. And for the first time on my channel, I've been thinking of being a little bit more authentic. Not that I haven't been authentic before, but not doing it in an artistic way, like laced in a poem, inside a song, inside a box that's wrapped in some Christmas paper. You know, I just was thinking about being very real in this video and just talking about some topics that are kind of hard for me. I hope you don't, the door's open so you might hear the wind if that's in the background. I'm really sorry. But so from the title of this video, I guess you already know why I'm here, why you're here, why you are here. So let's start from, where do I even start with this? I'll start 2 years ago, 2018. Still in college. I was a sophomore, I believe. And I was doing really well. And I don't know if some of you know this, but I'm also an actor. So all my life I've wanted to be an actor and be an artist, be an entertainer in some way, but I went to school to study psychology because it was just something more practical and something my parents really wanted me to do. But and I loved psychology, but my heart was always in acting, and I was just feeling a little bit stuck and defeated because I had moved to America when I turned 17, so in 2014, and I hadn't done anything to do with acting, anything to do with my dreams, because I was very shy and lacked confidence in myself. I never really acted in front of anybody, so I didn't even know if I was good enough. And I was moving to a new country. I was born in America, but I was raised in Jamaica, which is where I am right now. And I would go to America every summer. So that's how I was familiar with America. And let's fast forward to 2018. I moved to another college. I went to university, FIU. And in the summer of 2018, I decided I wasn't gonna go and do summer school. For most of you who don't know, I had a little brother named Ori who was disabled. He had an extreme case of cerebral palsy, and he was born that way, so he grew up with that condition. And as he got older, his condition worsened. He had a lot of respiratory issues. Neurologically, he was, some people would call, a vegetable, but we don't really use that word. He couldn't do anything for himself. He couldn't feed himself, he couldn't walk, he couldn't talk. He was basically like a baby for his whole life. So we've had to, me and my mom, my big sister, and my dad, we've had to take care of him for his whole life. And that's just the way it was. We adapted to it. I was 6 when he was born, so I just kind of had to adapt to, like, this was my new brother, this is how it is. I had to accept that he wasn't going to be able to play with me. I had to accept that my mom wasn't going to be able to spend as much time with me as she used to, and that my whole family dynamic was going to change. And it was hard at first, but I was a very accepting child, and children in general are very resilient, I've come to find. Let me check if this is recording. Yep, this is recording. Thank God. Children are very resilient, so I just kind of adapted to what was going on. And yeah, that was my brother. So when I moved in 2014 to the US, I would come back every summer and every Christmas and every spring break to come and help my mom with my brother. And I wasn't really able to hold a stable job in college because like every 6 months I'm coming back to Jamaica back and forth. So that was a little hard to like work and save up money. I was just going to school and then coming back and taking care of my brother. So that summer, the plan was that I was gonna try and pursue acting. Like, go hard, go on auditions, just put myself out there, build my portfolio, just do it. And I signed up for this acting class like I had a week after my final exams, and then the acting class would start. And I got the call, I got in, everything was good, and I was excited about it. And that same day, I remember I went to Forever 21 and I bought this Angel t-shirt, and this song came on by Echo Smith. I don't remember, but I'll put it here. And it's engraved in my brain. This is the whole process. For anyone who's like lost a family member or who's grieving, I guess maybe you would have a similar situation like this. Like, you remember everything that happened that day, before it happened, after it happened, maybe not. So I came home, and my sister was living in the States by then, and just by chance we were together on that day because she lived in Fort Lauderdale and I was in Miami. So we didn't live together, we didn't see each other every day. We just randomly decided we were gonna hang out that day, and that's what we did. We went to the mall, and then we went back to my house in Miami. I stay with my relatives in Miami because my parents are still in Jamaica. And that night, I didn't see it coming, but there was a phone call. My parents called my sister, and my brother wasn't feeling well that whole week. I spoke to my mom earlier in the day, and she had me on speakerphone, and I could hear him breathing, and his respiratory system, it really, really deteriorated over time because of his condition, because he couldn't walk and like stand up and sit up, and he was laying flat most of the time. A lot of mucus was built up around his chest area, and that's how it was for like the last couple years of his life. So I could hear him struggling to breathe. I could hear him like it kind of sounds like you're underwater, like he's like underwater. That's what it sounded like. But I was so used to him sounding like that I didn't think he was gonna die that day. But my mom was saying to me, something's different, he sounds different. Usually the thing with my brother is that he's a fighter. There's been multiple times where the mucus has blocked off his airway and he can't breathe, and he passes out and he turns blue, and whoever's in the room with him has to perform CPR and resuscitate him. So I learned from I was about maybe 15, 16 how to perform CPR, because there would be times where my mom would be outside and there's no time for her to come outside and come inside. I have to perform CPR on my brother and bring him back to life, and everybody in my family has done it multiple times, and it's just how we just lived. Every day was a day on edge because you didn't know if you're gonna lose him that day, and we don't really have access to a great medical system here in Jamaica. I live all the way out in the country, which is half an hour away from a hospital, and even in a hospital it's like they don't really know what to do with him. The thing with my brother is that you had to act really fast. You have to know what to do. You have to know which position to put him in. You have to know, okay, now I have to do CPR. And it was just we were like always living in the in our own emergency room kind of thing. So I was used to that, and it was very scary. It's always been scary. It's not an easy, smooth thing to perform CPR on your brother. There were times where I really did think I lost him and he'd come back. He was a fighter, you know. He always was trying to fight his way through things. So my mom was saying, he's not fighting, he's not fighting, he's not really trying today. He was 15. And I think at this point in time, his body was just tired. And my sister got the call. It was like maybe 1 in the morning, and she came downstairs with my uncle. She was crying, and I could hear my parents screaming on the phone, he's dying, he's dying. And my sister was crying. My aunt was there. She was in shock. My uncle was there. He was in shock. And I don't know how I was. I don't know how I was feeling. I was just sitting, like how I'm sitting now, like this. Like, what is happening? The thing is, I don't know if everyone's grief story and situation is different, but I learned from when I was about 12 or 13 that my brother was gonna die relatively young. When I was little, I always thought he'll get better, he'll learn how to walk. Like, I didn't fully understand the scope of his condition until one day we went to the doctor, and I overheard my parents talking, and my dad was upset. He said something like, oh, well, the doctor's just gonna tell us, so he's gonna die this year. Every year they say he's gonna die. And I was like, what? I didn't really realize at that age that he's gonna die. So at that point, I was subconsciously preparing myself for it, but there's no real way to prepare yourself for death and grief. But subconsciously I knew, okay, he's not gonna grow up, he's not gonna have a girlfriend, he's not gonna have a life, he's not gonna have kids, it's not gonna be like that for him. And the doctor said he wouldn't really live past 5 or 6, and he made it to 50. Yeah, sorry, my memory card got full. So I'm beginning again. Hopefully I have enough time. Sorry, this is gonna be a long story. Yeah. It's gonna come full circle though. So he died May 11th, 2018. And I was in shock. I don't fully know how to describe how I felt. I wasn't feeling much. It was a little bit like numbing type of thing, and I was worried about myself because I'm like, I'm not crying, I'm not feeling, I'm like, I just feel in shock. And I walked out the house. My uncle followed me, and I just walked around the neighborhood, and I was like, I can't believe he's dead, I can't believe he's dead, I can't believe he's dead. I was just saying that over and over again. And so I came back in the house, still wasn't crying, and I went in the shower. And that's when things kind of started to hit me, I guess. So I came out the shower, and I chopped all my hair off. Let me explain my thought process to you. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but it's just what happened. I was looking at myself in the mirror, all this hair. It's about the length that it is now. That's when I chopped it off. And in Jamaica, we have this thing where people with hair that's long get, like, I don't know, admired, and people are always doting on hair, and how nice. People are always complimenting my hair. Don't cut your hair, don't do this with your hair. And I was just thinking, if one person tells me about my hair, or tells me not to cut my hair, or just tells me how beautiful my hair is, because people would sometimes say and do that even in the most inappropriate moments, because hair is hair. It doesn't matter what quality, what type, what length it is. It's just hair. And I was just thinking, if anybody like talks to me about my hair, I'm just gonna lose it. And then I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna chop it off so nobody can say anything about my hair. Ridiculous thoughts, right? But I don't know, your brain does something when you're in grief. So I chopped it all off, just like this. I hacked it off. Like, I had these dull scissors and I just did like that, like that. And I've never had short hair in my whole life. I've never had short hair. I didn't know what that felt like. And it's when I chopped off all my hair that I realized what I had done and what was actually happening to me. That is the only time that it really sunk in. Your brother is dead, he's gone. And you don't have any hair on your head. Which, the second one doesn't really matter, but it was traumatizing for me because it's just like a weird out-of-body experience. Like, your brother, somebody that you love, is dead. And you don't have any hair to hold on to. It's like, am I even me? You just, I don't know, like, leave your body. And my aunt was knocking on the door because they were worried I was in there for a really long time, and I was like crying hysterically. So I came out the bathroom and I had no hair, and my family looked at me like, what have you done? Like, have you lost your mind? And rightfully so. I completely don't blame them for thinking that I lost my mind. I probably lost my mind that evening. And I went in my room and I just remember crying hysterically, and my sister was holding me and hugging me and crying with me. But it felt like, I don't know, it felt like I was crying, but it was numb. It was a numbness inside of me. I didn't have feelings. Like, I have this delayed reaction to things sometimes. Like, I don't respond immediately. It will hit me later on at a really inappropriate time that it shouldn't hit me. And that's what happens with most, like, things in my life. As I said, everybody responds to grief and loss differently. So yeah, that's what happened. I didn't have any hair. And then my aunt, who has been cutting my hair my whole life, she took a picture of the hair. So I'll put it here. Hair. And that's a whole pile of hair that's right there. And I just chopped it off. And she was like, you fucked up the layers. And yeah, I fucked up the layers. She had to... It looked so jagged and weird that she had to fix it. Like, she had to cut off more so that when it grew like in a certain, I don't know, pattern or something. So when she cut it more, like, I had no hair. My hair was like here to my ears. I didn't have any hair. And we were doing that so that when I go to the funeral, I don't look like a jagged mess. But I remember coming downstairs and my uncle looking at me, and he's like, because nobody's used to me with short hair. And they're just like, and my cousin's like, it's fine, you look great, everything looks great. And I'm just like, yeah. At this point in time, I would like to say I didn't worry about my hair, but I did worry about my hair because it was the only thing, it was the only tangible thing I had control of. It was the only thing I could hold on to. As stupid as that sounds, I focused more on my hair to avoid what was really happening. What was really happening, which is the fact that somebody that you love, the most important person in your life, is dead. And it's hard to come to terms with that. It's hard to face it. It's the scariest thing for me to turn around and to admit for the longest time that that's what happened. So I went on a flight back to Jamaica the following day, and that flight was the worst flight of my life. I always cry on airplanes for some reason. I always cry because I'm always leaving somebody behind. But this time it was different. Of course, obviously, I remember I could only listen to certain songs. I could only listen to 23 by Jimmy Eat World, and May Angels Bring You In. That was a hard one. And I could only listen to Lord. For some reason, I could tolerate Lord, but I couldn't tolerate anything else. Jimmy Eat World and Lord. Any other song would just drive me crazy. And Joss Stone. I loved Joss Stone, but it wasn't really her music, it was her voice for some reason. I'll get to that. So I went home to Jamaica, and there was all these people at my house, because that's a Jamaican tradition. When somebody dies, the whole community comes to your house. They're supposed to help you cook and clean, but sometimes in some situations they come and they expect food and drink and entertainment. I know that sounds morbid if you're not familiar with Jamaican culture, but that does happen here a lot. So you have your good and your bad and your ugly. So I came home, a whole bunch of people at my house, crowding my house, and I was just looking for my parents. My brother actually passed away in this room. This is my parents' room, and this is where they slept. The hardest part was coming into this room, actually. That was the hardest part. And not seeing him here. That's the hardest part for anyone who loved him. Not seeing him in the house. So I'm trying to wrap this up nicely in a way that it can make people understand. But I came home and I didn't have any hair, but I slicked it back. That's when I started slicking back my hair with gel. I never really did it before that. I just did some research on how to deal with short curly hair, and a lot of girls slicked it back. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And nobody really noticed, to be honest. My parents didn't notice that my hair was gone till the next day. And I took it out, and I'm like, do you not see that I don't have any hair? And they're like, we didn't notice. Because of course, you know, their brains, they don't have their brains in their heads. And you just lose your son. So slicking back my hair, doing my hair, fussing over my hair, but also being liberated by the fact that I didn't have it anymore was a big thing for me with grief. I don't know if everyone else has that experience. I'm just talking about my experience. I guess the mainstream experience would be like, it doesn't matter what your hair looks like. But for me, it was the only thing I could control. And I just invested so much time with it, even more time, because I'm experimenting now with not really having hair. I remember one night, which is the setup. I don't know if you are familiar with the setup, but it's like the night before the funeral. There's like a big kind of party at the house where the person dies. And people have food, drinks, music, and they get around and they kind of celebrate the life of that person. But sometimes it can get rowdy and out of hand. There's alcohol there. My brother's setup wasn't that extreme. We tried to keep it small and not so crazy. But I was having a mental breakdown that night. Like, that night was really, really hard for me. I remember locking myself in my room and opening the Bible and trying to find something, some answer. And I couldn't find anything. And then I started praying, and I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't hear anything. I was just feeling so lost and empty and left behind by the universe. So getting back to it, that same summer, my parents are born in August, so that same summer was their birthday. So my plan was to recreate some of my mom's old pictures from when she was young, because she had short hair. Now I finally have short hair, and to recreate it. So I had my godbrother is a photographer, so we took some pictures. Let me try and show you. I hate these pictures. It's hard to look at them, but it's me. So yeah, this is me like a couple weeks after my brother died. I know it's weird doing a photo shoot, but I was thinking like, well, it's my mom's birthday, I have to do something for her. I'm gonna try. Let me show you my mom. I was trying to do her looks, but it wasn't really working. Like, this is her. right? Her hair is different from mine. And then this is me trying to like recreate her. Yeah, so I tried. It didn't really work. I just showed her these like recently. Really recently. Yeah. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, so it's me, it's her, and yeah, that was a plan. But it's painful. I don't know, I can't really describe grief. It's hard to describe grief. Yeah, I didn't have hair, so I was experimenting with that, and that was okay. I had to like learn and accept, and it was liberating in a way because I don't like the thing in a lot of cultures do this where they measure your beauty by your hair, and I was just always told like that's your beauty. If you get rid of it, you have nothing. And I've never really thought like that because I've always had my hair. I've never like not had it. It's always been here. But I was just like, who cares about that? Who cares about hair? Who cares about beauty? Who cares about at a time like this? So it was liberating because I didn't want people to fuss over me and touch my hair and I didn't want that. I was angry. I was angry for a long time with grief. So I chopped my hair off, and in a way it was liberating. I don't regret it for a minute, even though it seems mad and crazy and like you've lost your mind, but I don't regret it. Growing my hair back was like a healing thing for me. Like it was growing and I was healing at the same time, and it was really weird and it was uncomfortable and painful and ugly and beautiful at the same time, but I was just letting it do its thing. I was letting it grow, letting you know the pain happen to me, go through it. And I think I went through it the best way I possibly could. But anger is a big part of grief, and it's only recently that I've even come to terms with my anger and faced it, because it's hard for me to face my anger. I've always been a person to push it down, or you shouldn't get angry, or it's stupid to get angry over something like that, just let it go. But the problem is it doesn't go away. It festers inside you. And I was angry most of the time because I thought when I lost my brother that I would have a bit more support. I thought my family would just come together as a unit. I thought my friends would just be there for me 100% unconditionally. I wanted to have somebody in my life that was gonna hold me and support me, and my family loves and supports me. Don't get me wrong, everybody loves everybody unconditionally, but I felt like my soul and my heart needed so much more. I needed more love, more support, more hugs, more understanding, more somebody just listening to me talking, and I needed that. I didn't have it. And I was angry at everybody in my life for that, because I just felt like you're not there for me. You're not here. And everyone's situation is different. Maybe you're going through something and you've lost somebody and you have that support. You have that. You can see a therapist. I didn't have access to a therapist here. And even when I did go to therapy later on, it didn't help, to be honest. It's something that you kind of have to keep going at and keep doing until you find a therapist that works for you. I haven't found it, but I had to learn. I learned things on my own. I coped on my own. But I felt like I was carrying a lot on my own. And I was very angry. I was angry at my friends. But it took me time to come to terms with the fact that when you're 21, you don't know what to do with grief. You don't know what to do when your friend's brother dies. When you're 21, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? And there's nothing that anyone can say. That's the thing. There's nothing anyone can say to make you feel better. There's nothing anyone can do to make the pain stop. It's something that you have to go through. And it was a situation where I felt like if I just don't look at it, it doesn't exist. If I just don't go through it, it doesn't exist. But it's a situation where I don't know why my brain thought I could avoid it, but you have to go through it. And I'm still going through it. Every day is a new day. And I do like literally take it one day at a time. Shortly after my brother died, my aunt that I lived with got very sick. She suffered from a lot of different illnesses, and I was going to school at the same time and trying to I had help from my uncle and my cousin, but I was trying to help take care of her in a way, but feeling helpless at the same time, feeling like what can I do like that really matters. So that took a huge toll on my mental health at the same time. And I don't even know where I'm going with this. I guess I can say that's why I never wanted to film this video. I've been putting it off for so long because I always feel like I'm not ready. What can I offer to somebody who's just lost someone? What can I say that's gonna offer any solidarity? Because I know from experience that nothing really helps. It's a situation that you have to go through. But I felt like at the time when it was fresh, that people avoided it. People avoided talking about it, bringing it up. Because it made them uncomfortable and they just didn't want to upset you. But the thing with me is that I didn't want to not talk about him. I wanted to talk about him. I wanted to remember him. I wanted to talk about how I was feeling. I wanted to be honest about how angry I was. So I just had so much energy inside me all the time, and I was just like all the time. And I really had to sit with myself, come to terms with it myself, and accept it, which is hard, which is why at the time I would constantly be experimenting with my hair, sticking it back, and listening to Just Don't Talk. I didn't even listen to her music. I constantly had her interviews playing because her song, her voice was the only thing that calmed me down. It was weird. Like music wasn't for me really. Lord, I could listen to Lord, but I was very selective about music. Everything was triggering. So I had to literally sit there and listen to Joss Stone constantly. But I wanted to hear more about grief. I wanted to hear from somebody who went through it, somebody who's been there. I just felt like everybody kind of was quiet and wanted to just turn their backs and just not, like, pretend like they don't feel. And I wanted to feel, I wanted to hear. And I didn't see anybody. I searched the internet, I searched YouTube, and I wanted to find somebody my age or just anybody who went through it, who was like, yeah, I've been there. I can't tell you how to fix it or get past it, but I've been there and I understand exactly how you feel because I'm here, and it hurts and it sucks and the world is shit right now. I just needed to hear that, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was thinking to myself, why don't I put that out there? I don't know if this will help anybody. You might hate this video. It may trigger you and just not make you feel any better. But if I can put it out there that I have been where you are, and I know how painful it is and how isolating it feels, and it feels like you're on a whole freaking planet by yourself and everybody's on this other planet worried about all this other shit, doing other things, concerned about other things, getting excited about other things, and you're just irritated and on this planet by yourself and nobody is looking at you. You can scream and nobody's gonna look up. You're by yourself. And I really, really had to sit with that. I read a lot of... Here's a funny thing. There was a book the same week that he died. I went to Barnes and Nobles. And I kept seeing this book by Maya Angelou. And I read, it was a poetry book. And I read one poem and I was like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. I don't want to think about this. I'm not ready for this. I put it back down. And the poem, I'll find it and I'll put it in this video somewhere. She was basically talking about grief. And I think that's when me and the universe started to communicate a lot more. That's when it happened. And I was like, I'm not ready for this. I don't want to think about it. I just want to be at Barnes and Nobles and just read a random fairy tale book and drink some coffee. I don't want to think about that. And after my brother died, like that same week, I downloaded the book on my Kindle. And it really, really, really helped me. It really, really, like her poetry, everything she said resonated with me. And it was like a tough love thing. It wasn't necessarily that, like, oh, give you a warm hug type of feeling, but it was a tough love thing, and it's what I needed at the time. And she said something. I remember reading it like maybe the day after my brother died. I found it. I don't know how I found these things, on the internet or through the books. Like, everything seems blurry in that way, but I got the message. And she was saying something like when she performs or when she goes on stage, she carries her loved ones with her. She's going with somebody that she loves who has passed away. So she always feels crowded on stage. She feels like she's surrounded by people that love her. And I still walk with that mentality. Anytime I'm going to do something important, I'm going with my brother. I'm going with my ancestors. I'm going with somebody that I really love. And I literally don't feel alone with that. So that was when me and the universe started to communicate. And a lot of people are, I don't know, getting signs like 1111, 222, all of that stuff. That's when that stuff started with me after my brother died. And yeah, I've been communicating ever since. Every day I communicate with the universe. I put out intentions and I get back signs and messages. And I got a sign to do this video because maybe somebody out there needs to hear it. But I've been where you are. I feel like there's nothing I can say to help you if you're in grief. All I can say is, I've been where you are. I know how it hurts. And whatever you need to do to get through the day, the minute, the hour, the second, you do it. And don't even think about what anyone else is going to think or tell you. And there's no right and wrong way of doing things. I had to live by the hour when it came to my brother. And even some days I live by the hour. Some days I live by the day. And I just want to see tomorrow. But the thing is, there's always tomorrow. And it's always an opportunity to get up and the sun will rise and the birds are chirping and the earth is still spinning, and it's a new day to have a new perspective and a new feeling. So that's how I live my life. I'm not perfect. I'm a constant work in progress. There are days where I am absolute shit. I have really bad insomnia. Even now it's gotten worse. I have unhealthy coping mechanisms, but I'm trying. I'm trying really, really hard to always do better than I was yesterday. To always be a better person. To honor my brother. To honor my dreams. Because life is short. Life is short. And look, we're halfway through 2020. Can you believe that? Because I can't. That's really weird. That's really weird. But the world is in a whole different place right now. The world is in a whole different place right now. It's 2020 and we all know what that means. I know that you know what that means, and it's different from 2018 when I was going through my thing, because the world is so consumed and the world has their attention at this specific thing, whether it be corona or it could be the riots going on in the US right now, or this hurricane season that's coming up. Yeah, we're in a whole different state right now. The world is different, and I don't know how to navigate the world right now. I'm taking it day by day. I'm a work in progress, and I'm still here trying. So all I can say to you is that I know how you feel. I'm sending you so much love right now. I'm sending you so much support, so much blessings and abundance, and I promise you, you will wake up one day and it won't hurt as much as it did yesterday. It will hurt, but it will be a little bit easier than the day before. And you're always going to take that person with you that you've lost. That person is now a part of you. But it's important to know that they're not gone. They haven't disappeared. I myself can't live with that thought. I have to think there's something else out there. And I think 2020... anything is possible. Come on, there's UFOs. So I've always believed that there's an afterlife. I feel my brother's energy. I feel my loved one's energy, my ancestors, and there's something out there. I promise you. It's not the end. Death is not the end. They're not in a box in the ground or in a little jar on your cabinet. Their soul lives on, and you can be with them as soon as you think of them, or as soon as you call their name, even if you don't feel it. So yeah, my camera's gonna die any minute, but I'm just gonna talk until it dies. This is my hair now. It's like a lion's mane, but yeah, it grew back. Hair is just hair. It grows back. Do whatever you want. I had no hair 2 years ago, and it grew back, and it really does make you detach from those weird things that humans do to make themselves look better and feel better. Sometimes looking better makes you feel better, and that works for a lot of people. That works for me. But at the same time, sometimes you just want to detach from all the facades that people put on, and the filters and the airs. And I think it's important to realize that people project their best selves. Even I do that on Instagram. My Instagram, I will put the most positive shit out there because I want to uplift people. I don't want to bring people down. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I want to uplift people constantly. But yeah, I only put positive things on the internet because I don't want to bring people down. But at the same time, a lot of people do that and forget to put the work in progress stuff. You know, when you're not your best, you're not looking your best, you're not doing your best, but you're trying, you know? And I think I needed that when I was grieving, when I was going through things, because I just felt like I'm shit and everyone's doing so well and everyone's worried about this other stuff, and I'm just a piece of shit. But at the same time, no, you're a work in progress, and not many people put their work in progress out there on the internet. And the last thing I want to leave you before my camera dies, I figured out that through grieving and healing and not getting over my brother, I'm always going to be going through my brother's death. But at the same time, I know I did it on my own. I didn't want to do it on my own. I wanted support. I wanted a significant other. I wanted to be blanketed and just to hide But I had to go out there and be on my own. And it's not that my family doesn't love me and my friends don't love me, but grief is a personal, individual thing. I hate that about it. I constantly want to feel supported and loved and cared for, and I want somebody to be there beside me. But I really had to learn how to be independent, how to be an individual, and how to stand on my own 2 feet alone. And through that aloneness, I found, some people call it God, the universe, spirituality. I leaned on God. I leaned on the universe. I leaned on spirit. I leaned on Mother Nature. And that's how I get through the day even now. I talk to God just like I'm talking to you. I talk to the universe. I talk to my brother. But there's a sense of real strength that came with the fact that I got through this. I'm getting through this. I'm healing through this without the help of another human. At first, I hated that. I resented it. I was angry. I was like, why isn't anybody with me? And hopefully, maybe you do have somebody that is going to take your hand and walk you through this. But 9 times out of 10, it's you alone doing it. It's you doing the work. It's you going through it. It's you facing the monster that's right behind you. It's you facing reality. It's you waking up every day and trying. Even when you fail, I am the world's best failure. I fail all the time. But I graduated college. A lot of failures happened for that. But, like, I did it on my own. And if this could make you realize that you can do it on your own too, then that's it. Through grief, you realize how incredibly strong you are as a person, as an individual. And I would hope that you have somebody to hold your hand and carry you through this. But I didn't have that. And everybody goes through grief differently. I'm living in the same house as my parents, and they go through grief a completely different way from I do. And I really, really grew thick skin and strength that I didn't know I had. And people think, oh, you're so strong. You went through this and you went through that with your aunt, and you went through this with your brother, and you finished school, and you did this and you did that. And it's like, anybody can do it. Because when you're in a position like that and you're backed up in a corner, the only choice you have is to jump or keep moving. Fall or keep it rolling, keep it moving. That's the only choice you have. Either one is a choice. Whatever you want to do is a choice. Some people choose to fall because they just don't want to go through it anymore. And I'm not even going to blame them. It's hard. But there is a lot of strength that comes from knowing that you kept moving. And even when you failed and when you fell down and you didn't have anybody to pick you up and you had to call on God, on the universe, and that's how you're still rolling, there's a lot of inner strength that comes with that, where you're not scared of losing anyone anymore. You know that you have yourself and you have some type of spiritual team that is holding your hand and helping you go through this, because I didn't do it on my own. I did have the universe on my side. I hope this helps anybody who's going through grief, anybody who's feeling pain, depression, anxiety. I have held off for filming this video so long because I always feel, what could I offer the world? I don't have the answer. Maybe my thing with dealing with grief is not great, but I just had to do it today, and I just felt the energy that I need to do this today. And if all you can take from this video is, yeah, this girl on YouTube understands how I feel, then that's enough. But I'm sending you so much love. I'm sending you a really big hug. I'm sending you so much abundance and light and blessings. And I hope all your dreams come true. I hope everything you've ever wished and cried for at night. I hope the things you want, the goals, the dreams you have, I hope you achieve every single one of them. And I hope you attract beautiful people into your life that teach you things and show you things and make you realize what life is worth, because it's worth it. You are meant to be here, and maybe, just maybe, this isn't a breakdown. Maybe this is a breakthrough for you. You know, it's always hard before it gets better. I haven't even seen better yet. It's still hard for me, but I know it's out there. I know it's there. I know that the things that I want and I dream and the goals I have, I'm gonna achieve them. Baby steps. Take it one day at a time. And you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You don't have to pretend anything around anybody. However you go through this period is however it's meant to be.